The new General Motors has finally made its debut. Now, what is next for this revamped automaker? We're putting that question and more to Ray Young. He's the Chief Financial Officer, Executive Vice President of the new GM. Carried a similar title at the old GM. And that brings me to my first question, Ray, because this is a question you know that everybody wants an answer to. You and many of your colleagues have been at GM for a long time. How is what is effectively the same leadership going to do? What is the same leadership going to do differently with GM now that you didn't do with the old GM?
Well, I think there's going to be a dramatic cultural change. Actually, it's taking place right now as we speak. You saw this in the last 100 days, whereby we took actions very quickly. It was basically speed in terms of executing, whether it be new labor agreements, whether it be negotiating new agreements in Europe with a partner, whether it be doing restructurings in different parts of the world. This management team is going to be a leaner management team, as Fritz indicated, 35% fewer executives here in North America. But we're going to be very, very much focused towards what is important, and what's important are our customers and our products here.
Ray, one of the reasons that you've been able to execute over the past 100 days is the involvement of the federal government, as well as the fact that you were in that fast-track bankruptcy process. The U.S. government, the taxpayers effectively, will remain a majority shareholder in GM. How is having the government on side going to help going forward?
Well, first of all, we're very appreciative of the support by the U.S. and Canadian taxpayers and the Automotive Task Force. They've been exceptional in terms of helping us through the process here. At the same time, we recognize that we have a large responsibility in order to provide a return to the taxpayers. And Ed Whitaker, our new chairman, is basically finalizing the composition of the new General Motors Board of Directors. This new board will hold us accountable towards delivering the results. And from our perspective, we have a plan we call the viability plan. We have a lot of confidence in this plan, and we're going to execute this plan. And to the extent we execute it, we're absolutely confident that A, we will repay the loans back to the U.S. and Canadian governments, and B, we will drive the stock price of the new GM shares in the future high, so that the government and the taxpayers can earn a return on this investment.
Ray, you mentioned Ed Whitaker, the new chairman. He has a long history in business, but in the telecom industry with Southwestern Bell and then AT&T. What has he asked of you executives when it comes to reshaping the culture at General Motors? What does he expect of you?
Well, first of all, he expects, just like what Fritz expects, us to act with speed, a sense of urgency. We showed that in the last 100 days. And basically, what we did in the last 100 days, we need to continue in the future under, let's say, more normal operating conditions, whereby we're not executing a bankruptcy. And secondly, he's expecting us to be great leaders, whereby motivating our employees, motivating our dealers, motivating our suppliers, motivating all of our constituents around the world in order to deliver great results for the company. So while he was involved in the telecom business, and one may ask what is the difference between the telecom business and the automotive business, there are a lot of similarities in terms of our businesses. It's always changing. The telecom business is always changing, and Ed led a lot of change within AT&T. And he's going to be a great chairman for us, leading change here within General Motors.
Ray, when the government lends you tens of billions of dollars, you know that there are going to be expectations out there, not just among investors, but taxpayers as well. And the clock is ticking in that regard. How long do you figure you have to prove that GM is successful and not just a smaller company? It's doing something differently than the old GM did. How long?
Well, immediately. I would say today we need to start proving ourselves in terms of our actions, our behaviors, how we interact with the customers, where we focus our times. We have a plan, as we pointed out. We're going to be very transparent in terms of how we're operating towards these plans. I always joke, we're going to be the most public-private company in America. And so we will report our financial results of the new General Motors. We will report our sales results. We will allow the taxpayers to hold us accountable. And so from our perspective, I believe we're starting today in terms of our accountability to the American and Canadian taxpayers.
And how should we measure that proof? What should we look for?
You know, from our perspective, I view one of our key metrics of the company is our ability to generate cash. I mean, earnings are important, but from my perspective, operating cash flow is very, very important. And so As we work through our plans and as we review the plans with our new General Motors Board of Directors in the first week of August, we will be setting metrics with respect to operating cash flow performance for our company by quarter as well as for next year. We will make those public when it's appropriate, and then we're going to be held accountable in terms of delivering cash flow performance. And to the extent we generate positive operating cash flow, that allows us to repay the loans to the U.S. and Canadian taxpayers sooner than later.
Ray, I've got time for one more quick question. Obviously, the pain is not gone from the auto industry. Visteon, Lear, both bankrupt. American Axle may be next. Do you figure GM is going to have to step in to support some of these companies, prevent them from really ceasing operations so that they can continue to supply you?
Well, we're monitoring the supply-based situation very, very carefully. As Fritz indicated in his press conference, we've been pleasantly surprised in terms of how the supply base actually has weathered this cyclical downturn in the U.S. Automotive industry. We recognize that some of these companies are going through in-court restructurings right now. We're in regular communications with them. We've got contingency plans. But at the same time, we're going to continue to work with them, work with both the management team, with their lenders, in order to make sure that they can emerge from the restructurings in a manner that will be supportive not only of General Motors, but also supportive of the U.S. automobile industry.
All right, Ray, I'd like to thank you very much. That is Ray Young. He's the Chief Financial Officer and Executive Vice President of General Motors. It's a historic day for that company, I'm sure, a source of some relief to Ray and his colleagues.